Let's break this bitch down. Act 1. Let's set some stuff up.
Outcast, the major motion sickness picture, kicks off with the title cards for 3 of the 11 studios responsible for making and distributing this absolute dumpster fire. We see Annie, Little Annie, from the Star Wars prequels. That's right. Hayden Christensen actually got work after those and is the main star of our film. Putting that lightly. We see him praying on his sword during the crusades while mumbling out his lines in the second worst English accent you will ever hear, I guess.
Scottish, apparently.
Scottish, I don't know. Who gives a fuck?
The worst Scottish accent you'll ever hear.
Yeah.
We cut to the 12th century in the Middle East.
Okay, yeah.
Which is pretty vague, but you know.
Are you going to bitch about it, or can I bitch about it?
You could bitch about it. Go ahead.
Because the subtitles say that these people are Moors that they're fighting, and they say it behind the scenes several times that they're fighting Moors. Moors were in North Africa and southern Spain.
The next line I had was
okay. That's why I was going to ask if you were going to bitch about it or if I could bitch about it, because it fucking pisses me off.
We can both bitch about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the behind the scenes, the director said that this scene happens in North Africa and also mentions the Moors, but all of the characters look Persian. And the Moors were not really in North Africa. They were more like in Spain and that area.
Well, they were also they were North African originally.
They were, yes, but
tell you where they weren't. The Middle East.
The Middle East.
Which is where the movie says we are.
I mean, I guess you could count like Egypt as the Middle East.
It's sort of, but I honestly don't think the Moors were around Egypt either.
I don't think so.
Mostly just North Africa and southern Spain.
I feel like they were repelled from Egypt, and then they made their way into like Italy and those areas.
I don't get it. I don't know why. Maybe because they thought if they said North Africa, nobody'd know what the hell they were talking about, or like what. I mean, to the movie's credit, the movie doesn't actually say that they're Moors. It's just the subtitle and a couple of subtitles and their credits, like Moor #1, Moor's wife. Stupid credits. You got to go out of your way to have Crusaders fighting somewhere. Why not just say it's the Middle East and not just write it as the
Moors,
Moorish kingdom in North Africa?
At least we're not in the Far East, which would be even more vague, right, guys? Also, we know it's the Middle East because the music goes. You know that vaguely racist music they add to everything to tell you that it's the Middle East?
Some weird flute music.
It's just the same as if you were in the like South in America and there's the sound of a hawk screeching. Anytime there's a desert, or a banjo. We see the English battling some Moors, or Persians, or something. Hey, the movie didn't care to narrow it down, so why the fuck should we? Hayden and Nicolas rat nest haircut Cage ride in and slaughter a bunch of people with spears while the movie tries desperately to be 300 while a woman wails in the background on what counts as a score in this thing. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I get it. That's how I feel too. Hayden, a.k.a. Jacob, and Cage, a.k.a. Glee, or Gallium, or Ghislaine, or Gollum, lead their men through a nonsensical battle while Ghislaine tries desperately to stop Jacob from believing in this whole crusades nonsense. That's the most unrealistic part of this whole movie is like, just give up. Let's leave.
In the middle of it.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Let's just quit.
Let's just go, man. Let's go east.
You can do that, right? Just dessert. I guess you can. This is the only movie I've seen that gave me motion sickness.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, this was pretty bad.
It's that I don't know what it is about the shaky cam combined with the high frame rate that looks like chopped out frames.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful. It's so horrible. I had to I actually look away for a couple of times just because I was getting motion sickness, which I don't.
You know what other movie gave me motion sickness? the Bourne movies, shot by
those
this
don't
guy.
bother me. I don't know. Maybe because those are shot better. I guess they don't do the choppy frame rate thing. I guess.
They're shaky, but at least the frame rate is more.
And you can at least
organic.
tell what the hell's happening in those action scenes. They're still doing action.
Yeah, those are well done. These are not.
The shaky cam in that makes you feel like you're there watching and juking and stuff. Like it feels this just feels like you're disoriented. And they got like Dutch angles in every single shot of this movie for some fucking reason. So I think it's just that combined with the Dutch angles, the high frame rate, and the shaky cam. Not good.
Yeah.
Like my stomach was doing hula hoops around my ass.
He tries to convince Jacob not to storm the palace because there are women and children in there. In the worst accent we've seen him attempt yet. It's just horrible, dude.
There are women and children in there, Jacob. They won't be harmed. They will be harmed.
Oh my God.
It's somehow worse than his Forrest Gump accent in Con Air. And somehow it changes completely later on in the movie.
Multiple times.
I'm not saying a lot. We've watched a lot of Cage movies. This is the worst of the accents, at least. Mm-hmm. Jacob tells Ghislaine, we end this today. And some guy inside the palace tells the king or whatever the fuck, with Allah's help, we will prevail, in an accent that is somehow worse than Cage's. It is really bad.
With Allah's help, we may still prevail.
Ghislaine tries to reason with Jacob that they should just stop killing for hypocrite priests, because that's an option. I don't know if you know anything about the Crusades, but, if you didn't kill, you got killed. Kind of the whole thing. And that the blood we spill here is on our blades, our souls, not God's. And Hayden gives him that scowl that made him famous as Darth Vader. Did I say famous? I meant infamous and trolled online for the next 20 years afterwards. Jacob continues the siege, and Ghislaine tells him they don't need to do this anymore since they can just go east. And Jacob says, you doubt our cause? And Ghislaine is like, I'd make a good husband to you, lad. Let's just go. But Jacob's not having it. Jacob tells Ghislaine to go then, go east. And Ghislaine says, I swore an oath to your father. And Jacob says, my father's dead. You're released of your oath. I release you. Go. And then
Go now.
Do it. Kill me now. In the palace, we see the prince or whatever the hell enter his harem, I think. I don't know. And tells his wife to take the children and leave. Jacob continues the siege while giving Cage a blue steel smolder look. And he and his men kill the prince and all the guards while Ghislaine just kind of watches on judgmentally. During the final battle, the film does its best to make us all fucking seasick. And Hayden shows off all the sweet sword fighting moves he learned during the 2 prequels.
Yeah, he does. That's one thing I like about Hayden Christensen. He does actually do a lot of his own stunts.
Yes.
And he does train. He knows how to at least handle a sword and look like he's handling a sword.
People shit all over the prequels, but like the sword play in the prequels was so much more superior to pretty much anything else Star Wars related. I'd say that was like the one saving grace. I would so much rather be watching those movies than this movie right now. Which is saying a lot. Fucking Attack of the Clones is a masterpiece compared to Outcast.
Yes, it is.
Ghislaine saunters in after the slaughter, sporting the second worst haircut of Nicolas Cage's career after the one we see later in the film. And he tries to stop some of his fellow Christians from raping and murdering a couple of helpless women. We cut to the Far East 3 years later. I'm not even fucking kidding. The locations in this film are the Middle East and the Far East.
Oh my God.
God.
Couple of quick fact here. This palace set that the director said was his favorite set to work with because they didn't have to shoot around the Beijing pollution. It was outside because it was all indoors and closed. So this whole project sounds like it was a fucking dream to be involved in. There's another part where he talks about like this. He went and location scouted out this beautiful, I don't remember where it was, gorge or something. It looked amazing. And they went out in the morning and it looked awesome. You could see for miles. And then when they went to shoot in the afternoon, it was just covered in pollution smog. And that's what it looks like in the film. So there's stuff that looks super foggy. It's just like carcinogens floating through the air that they all had to be immersed in for a few months.
I hope they wore masks at least while they were in that shit. We see a sweaty, dying, old, wise emperor or king or whatever the fuck the film is going with. Emperors, right? Like even in the synopsis, they call him an emperor, but in the movie they call him a king the whole fucking time.
But they would be the emperor.
He would be an emperor, right? Yeah. Oh, this isn't China though. This is the Far East.
The Far Eastern Empire.
The Far Eastern Empire.
So maybe that's why they call him the king, just so they it wasn't China, even though we have all Chinese actors and we mentioned Chinese hells specifically.
We shot in China.
We filmed it in China.
We know this guy is really wise because he talks really slowly and vaguely like Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
My days draw to an end, my son.
No, father.
He's got a Fu Manchu.
He's got a Fu Manchu. Yeah, that's how you know he's wise. Also, all of the Far Easterners only ever speak English and have British accents for some reason the whole movie. Nobody ever attempts to speak any language outside of English, which I guess is fine, but whatever.
Yeah.
It was lazy, but who am I to judge?
Who wants to read subtitles?
In this rationale, in this made-up stupid world, does Hayden Christensen and Nicolas Cage characters know Chinese?
I guess, yeah. They would assume they speak fluent Far East.
They can barely speak English, dude.
Yeah. Maybe that's why their accent sounds so horrible. That's how the other characters hear them speak their language.
Yeah. Now it all makes sense. I got it.
I like that.
It's like we were hearing everything in Chinese. Like we were the Chinese, Far Eastern audience. And that's how they sound to us, butchering their language.
The king tells his son, Zhao, I think that's how you say it, Zhao. And
they say it different ways in the movie, too. They call him like Zhao. And
Zhao.
I think it's supposed to be Zhao, but...
Zhao, yeah. And his daughter, Leanne, he says that his days are numbered since he has the flu or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And stresses that the kingdom needs a good leader in his absence, which is why he's chosen Zhao, the 14-year-old, and not his other son, Xing, who is older and a great warrior, but a huge douchebag. Some servant guy who inexplicably ends up controlling the fate of the entire kingdom tells the king that Prince Xing is approaching with his men. The king gives Zhao the royal seal and instructs his daughter to ensure Zhao makes it safely to some general guy so that he can be sworn in as king or whatever, however the fuck that works in this made-up kingdom in the Far East. So, like, even the murderous scumbag who stabs his father in the stomach, spoilers, is like, we have to go through the ceremony or else I can't be king. It needs this, like, little dangling royal seal or whatever.
Yeah. A seal of approval.
The king says...
it's like, it just says whoever has this seal, the king said this is the new king. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the kid has it.
One would think he could have written, I want my son Zhao to be king, not Xing. Don't allow Xing to be king.
Yeah.
They didn't have wills back then, Nigel.
He never told that to anybody else. Just his son right in that moment. That's it. Yeah. The king says goodbye to his kids who flee before the paper-thin bad guy of this movie can show up and be bad for the sake of being bad. Xing shows up seconds later and is an entitled dick from the jump. He just tries to hand his sword off to the king's guards or whatever. And he's pissed off when they don't take his shit immediately.
The king's hey, that's why. That's why I'm not picking you.
Yeah.
Rude. You're rude to the help.
You're rude. Remember when we went to that Mexican restaurant? Sorry, that Central American restaurant. He says in a roundabout way that he's heard rumors that the king plans to give the reins or reign over to his baby brother rather than him. I guess that's what he was alluding to. He's like, I've heard,
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares? He screams that the throne is his birthright, and the king agrees that without Schwing, there would be no kingdom since he's a great warrior. But it's in the best interest of the people that he not name an insufferable ass clown as his successor. The servant we saw earlier, guard Chang, I think is how you say it. Qiang. King?
I think it's like Chang.
Chang tries to intervene when the prince gets all aggro on his dad, but the king assures Chang that his son means him no harm, which ends up working out great. He means me no harm. Donatello would never hurt me. The prince berates Yang and threatens his family if he's not loyal to him, and says he'll make sure this guy's wife will spend the rest of his life pleasuring his guards. All while the king just mentally pictures it or something. I don't know. He's just kind of like, ugh.
That your wife spends the rest of her life pleasuring my guards.
Gonna chop your kids up and nail them to the wall in pieces and fuck
No
your
way to
wife.
stop this.
Yeah, there's no way to stop this. Hey guys, actually I decided that Zhao is gonna be the king. Nope. The prince orders everyone out of the chamber so he can talk to his dad for the next 20 minutes, or at least that's how it feels. It just goes on and on and on. The prince shit talks his dad for a while asking where the royal seal is, and eventually uses a blade his mother gave him to stab the king in the stomach. And I don't mean stab him in the stomach the fun way I did with my wife on my honeymoon.
God damn it.
Stab you in the stomach, bitch. Stab you in the stomach and let me get up in them guts are my two favorite ways. Never mind. Sorry. The king dies, and the prince tells his guards that Qiang, however the hell you say his name, that his little brother killed the king while still holding the bloody blade. I'm like, nobody doubts this story at all. Like, he just left him alone in that room 5 minutes ago, and he's like, oh, he killed him with this blade that was in my pocket. The prince tells Qiang to summon the general, who I guess is necessary for the ceremony to make him king or whatever the fuck. We see the prince, Zhao, and his sister escape through that town from prisoners at the Ghostland or something, and they barely get away from the guards who were just sent to find them, despite them having like a 30-minute head start.
Yeah.
Like 5 seconds later, the guards are there with them. Like, what'd you do all that time? Were you just like, oh, I better pack my baseball cards? What the fuck are you doing? Get away. The guards defeat some monk guy who is the only other person who knows the truth about the king's wishes, I guess, after the monk does some cool crouching tiger, hidden dragon moves on them. This guy's like the protector of the prince, I guess. I don't know. The next morning, we see the kids arrive at the pub from Harry Potter or the Prancing Pony from Lord of the Rings or something. This was a set, I guess, that they built. And the director was shocked that they were able to build some of these sets, like the palace and this.
Yeah.
I think are the only two sets in the whole movie. Uh-huh. No, they have that town that catches fire, too. Mm-hmm.
And they have the cave.
Yeah, I mean, most of that was built for them. So
yeah, when Hayden's interviews, he said he was surprised that they could just like do whatever the hell they wanted on the set that they built for him. Like they could wreck it, light it on fire, knock stuff over, and break things. So
yeah,
probably that one. Probably this one is what he was talking about. I think.
Yeah.
Because they trash it.
And Leanne tells Zhao to hide by a tree while she goes inside to get help since their horse was killed by some guards or something. Very vague. They just showed a dead horse on the ground, and we were supposed to get that was their horse. Also, she like pushes him down into the tree like she's trying to have him go down on her or something. It was really weird. It was a really weird shot. Just get down there. Hide by the tree, little cuck. Inside, we see some random ass white guy in a Three Musketeers hat nodding out like the fentanyl zombies we all have to walk by on our morning commutes. Anyone else live in basically any large city in the United States in 2025? Yeah.
U.S. is doing great.
Yeah, really killing it. We see Jacob, sniff or eat some opium while a waiter gives him a bowl of chicken feet and cow's teeth or something. And he pays for it by giving the guy his sword.
Sexy.
Character moment.
The waiter says he thought Jacob might be the White Ghost, who I guess is the Far East's version of Robin Hood. But it turns out this dude is just some junkie from the Far West. Leanne walks in and draws the attention of everyone in this charming bar since she's dressed all in white flowing pajamas and a woman. Could have just... Why leave the prince outside if you like immediately are going to identify yourself as the princess?
Yeah.
They recognize her immediately, and she asks if anyone can escort her to the general's house or whatever the fuck. A guy stands up immediately to volunteer, but I guess the word is out that Prince Trump is in charge now. So a guy stops him out of fear that they'll be sent to concentration camps or something.
God damn it.
The black guards bust through the door with the prince, and then they throw him on the ground like, "Look who I found skulking outside." Fucking stupid. They tell the princess her father is dead. But they should know since it was Zhao who murdered him. The dialogue in this thing, oh boy, so bad. Leanne and Zhao know immediately that it was Xing who killed the king. Also, I'm convinced that the character was named after the sound a blade makes when it comes out of a sheath.
Yeah.
Like, what's something that sounds vaguely Chinese? Xing! The guard asks for the royal seal and then takes Junkie Aragorn's sword from the waiter rather than pulling out his own for some reason. Like, here, give me that chicken feet merchant. It's just, why? Just so that we can have this happen. The guards hold the prince and princess while we're treated to opium vision from Jacob, who stumbles his way over to them. He screams, "You turned her against me!" and demands his sword back. The guards knock Mannequin Skywalker to the ground, but worst of all, they take his drugs, which, as we see in the news every day, when you take a junkie's medicine, it's like giving Popeye spinach. Also, some guy pisses in his face while he's on the ground, which is the only part of the movie I actually liked. Watch that shit on repeat like 20 times.
Kill him.
Yeah, piss on him. It's a little.
Probably could have used that on Mustafar.
Just see Obi-Wan pissing on Anakin on the fucking shores of the volcano. Anyways, Golden Shower Boy springs into action and fucks up some of the best soldiers this far eastern kingdom has to offer since he's white. I mean, he's a trained knight. A white guy high as shit on the 12th century equivalent to heroin just takes out an entire room full of bad guys because he's just that good, I guess. He spots a guard with an eye patch. See, they had those back then. Just saying. Could have saved a lot of unnecessary squinting. Foreshadowing for later. who is holding a blade to the prince's throat, and Jacob gives him some more blue steel smolder. It's like his default is. Yeah. Or he's shitting his pants. I don't know. It's really common with opium addiction, by the way. If you know anything about, never mind. Skywalker, who he's walking on the sky because he's on opium. He mumbles out his line saying he just wants his sword back and he'll leave. As soon as the guy drops his sword, Jacob makes shish kebab out of the guy's head, then almost deep throats a spear while trying to pick up his sword. We saw that. He's like, oh. Because he's high, The princess begs the only white guy in the entire kingdom to help them besides the white ghost or the grand wizard or whatever his name is. That's Cage's character. No, I mean not Cage's.
The Green
character.
Dragon.
The Green Dragon.
The
Grand Wizard. Yeah,
the Grand Wizard. Yeah.
God damn it.
Anyway, she begs him for help, and he says, "Nah, fuck that. I'm gonna get high instead." He grabs his opium and heads outside without grabbing his cool Three Musketeers hat, which is a damn shame. Would have really liked to have seen him wear that through the entire movie. Outside, he takes some dude's fresh drinking water and dumps it over his head since that one guy's piss is still stinging his eyes. And this is done in a weirdly out of place Werner Herzog-esque GoPro looking shot. Unfortunately, doesn't feature any lizards. It's a really strange shot, and that's the only time they use it. Use that kind of shot. It's really strange.
So weird.
Maybe it was to like clue us into this is the moment he's coming out of his daze and he starts to become a better person. I think you're
putting more artistic thought into it than they did.
Yeah, it's true. The princess continues to beg for Jacob's help to get to Shenyun, which is a great live show about pre-communist China that is advertised every goddamn where when it plays in any city and may or may not be a cult. Look it up, people. I don't know if that's the name of the city that they were heading to, and I don't care. I really don't. I really don't care. I swear that's what she said. We're going to go to Shenyun, which I could see like the filmmakers living in Toronto and Shenyun comes to town. Let's name the town after that.
They probably got a cut of it, cut of the revenue.
Yeah.
It's advertising.
A little advertising.
It's the promised land of Shenyun.
Help us. We must get to Shenyun.
Anyways, little Annie leaves them to die and fucks off to go nod out in the woods somewhere. We watch him wash his face in a mud puddle or something and have a nice little flashback to all the people he murdered in the Middle East and see a close-up of Cage crying while being a judgmental little bitch. Oh, yeah. I forgot Nick Cage is in this. That's why we're watching this piece of shit. I forgot. Jacob gets all sad when he remembers how Gal Gadot, or whatever the hell his name is, left Jacob behind to go see if he can get the rats out of the nest in his hair. Jacob decides to do some good in this big old crazy Far Eastern world and heads back to help the prince and princess escape from Schwing or whatever the fuck that guy's name was.
Schwing.
Act 2. Let's get some motivation up in this thing.
Jacob wakes the princess by pissing in her face like that guy did at the bar. No, wait. He puts his, most likely, dirty as hell hand over her mouth and then alerts her that there are riders nearby. She wakes Zhao and they ride to that place Idris Elba hid his wine in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, I think. The trio hide behind some dirt pillars and are completely missed by the riders since they lack peripheral vision.
Keep looking! Yo!
The princess asks why Jacob came back for them, and his mouth shits out the line,
"You promised gold."
I can't even do his accent. It's terrible.
It's yeah.
Why
somehow
try?
His voice got deeper too.
He does have a very deep voice, which is actually something I find interesting. As an aside tangent, because the actor that voices Anakin in the Clone Wars animated CG cartoon or whatever, had a deeper voice than Anakin did. And like now, Hayden Christensen's voice has sort of turned into what that guy's portrayal of Anakin is. It's actually super interesting.
It's all that opium, dude.
But I think he also had a deeper voice back then, but he was pitching it higher to sound younger, maybe. Well, he also was young, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be evil. You'd think he would go for the deep voice for evil.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
They made Anakin too likable, honestly. I mean, not likable, but like too wholesome for that change. I feel like that was the biggest complaint I had with the prequels, was like he was kind of a good guy who had done some things that weren't great, but he just turned on a dime because he was I might lose her.
It's kind of it's supposed to be the real tragedy of it all, was that he was the ultimate good guy and then turned to it. I just rewatched these again, and I did it with a different critical eye of like where we are right now as a society and how this is all slotting into place very eerily
creepily,
and very aptly. But part of it is I looked at it in the eye of him turning because he wants power. It's actually a through line throughout that whole movie. They all talk about power a lot. It's actually a kind of a motif of it, but it is kind of through his actions that kind of shows that he just wants to be powerful. And the being good was that's who he is. But under the surface, it was always like he wanted to be more powerful, and the Jedi were keeping him from it. And it just sort of all snaps and boils over when it's basically like his wife's life's on the line, and then he feels they're keeping him from it. But it's also like it's because he's power hungry that actually allows for that type of stuff, which I think was a cautionary tale that Lucas was saying, that you can corrupt anybody basically if that's what they really want to go after.
Yeah, you could call a guy Hitler in public and then become his vice president like a couple months later.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, Jesus. I was just going to say, I guess being a cuck is the reverse of power, so I can see why he snapped getting cucked by Obi-Wan.
He went from cuck to cucking everybody. Cucking the whole universe.
Well, no, I don't want to get into it too much, but the whole like he ends up just being a slave his whole life. He doesn't realize it, but he is.
Yeah.
And that's why he wants power. Is he's basically been powerless his whole life.
Yep.
And through trying to get the ultimate power of being like the ultimate most powerful badass, it just makes it even worse for him and everybody else. It's the real trap, and I guess the real tragedy.
In the hands of a good writer, probably could have tweaked that.
I guess the real tragedy is that story's there. It's just not presented very well.
I know someday they're going to redo them, and I think it actually could be really good. Like somebody could come in and really tell that story the way that I think George Lucas intended it to be told, but just didn't have the tools to tell it the way that he wanted to.
The princess, who is on the run from ruthless guards who want to kill all of them if found, basically yells to talk to Jacob the entire ride while they cross a river.
What brings you to our land?
She asks him what brings him to their land, and he whips out his little baggie of opium. At least he's honest.
I love that, dude. What brings you to our land?
Right to the source. Came here to get fucked up, bitch. Well, she and Zhao are slightly disgusted that the White Knight is a junkie who realistically would sell them out for crack rock. But, spoilers, he gets over his addiction as if he's getting over a week-long whiskey bender.
I don't think that's how opium addiction works, but whatever.
He sees something burning in the distance and stops the caravan before smacking his horse in the head with the handle of his sword, unintentionally.
It's kind of like just across the ears, but it like really came close to just whacking that horse right in the fucking face.
Over the ridge, Jacob spots that village from Rambo 4, the one with the mines. It spots a load of huts on fire, so obviously this village had a run-in with the big bad wolf. We see the black guards raping and pillaging like any good 12th century Mongol. Far Easterner. Zhao and Lian spot the carnage down below and want to run to help, but Jacob stops them and says they need to leave. Zhao tries to take a shot with an arrow at a rider trying to pick up his next girlfriend, and rather than just let the guy rape the chick to death, Jacob shoots the guy with an arrow from like a football field away because he's automatically amazing at everything because he's white. Because he's a trained knight.
He's a Jedi Knight.
Never mind the fact that he's clearly still cracked out from opium. Yeah.
Almost impossible shot.
He rolls
even
a 20
if you're
on
not.
that attack. Yeah. Because the guy's running on horseback from, like a football field away. They all watch this basically impossible arrow shot land right in the guy's lung, and the girl gets away, but for some reason joins the rest of the film, even though her character serves zero purpose and has basically 3 lines. That's the guy. The director talked about this actress. This is her first movie, only one, according to IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
So he said she was just like smiling ear to ear in every shot that they were filming because she was just so happy and excited to be on a movie set.
I mean, I guess that's why she didn't have any fucking lines. Just cut away from her because they're like, bitch is smiling again. God damn it. You're being chased by murderers.
He does mention a ton of this movie got lost in the edit. So, yeah.
Not a shock.
Including a bunch of stuff with Nicolas Cage and his character's wife. So, yeah, he said that relationship was a lot more fleshed out before it got cut and left on the cutting room floor.
I feel like even though it was very short, I still feel like they did a good job of setting up that relationship.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know if you really needed to dive too much deeper into it. I think
but he just
it,
mentioned that it was like it was stronger. There was more there that you could see in their relationship, but they had to cut it. So whatever.
I wonder how many amazing KG moments we lost from that.
Yeah.
What do you want, woman? Oh wait, my other eye is supposed to be closed.
Yeah. Jacob is less than stoked to have another kid join the party, but at least he has something to trade for more opium now.
It would have been amazing if they just like the kid disappeared. Where is what's her face?
I don't know. Oh wait, they eat it, I guess.
Yeah, he was like chewing.
Yeah, what is that about, dude?
I thought you smoked it, but I guess you probably could also eat it.
It's so weird.
That would be. Oh god, that tastes terrible.
Yeah.
Joe asks how Jacob is suddenly fucking Robin Hood, and he says, practice. And we cut to insert generic bad guy who is sitting on the throne. General Chow. I'm not even fucking kidding. I swear that's his name. Actually, it's Jiao, but you could totally see him naming it after a plate of chicken. Anyway, sweet and sour Kung Pao chicken tells Lord whatever the fuck that once he's officially sworn in as king or whatever, the generals will follow him. But until they find the royal seal, there can't be a ceremony. Xing puts a blade to the general's throat, and the general basically says the kid will be punished if he truly did kill the king, but also kind of says that he thinks Xing did it. While all this is going on, that guard guy Chang just watches since he's basically Reek from Game of Thrones now. Xing dumbfaces his way through the rest of the scene while telling the general where the prince and princess are heading. Back with Darth Wanker, Mulan, and the children, Zhao tries to explain to the inexplicably British kid that they rescued that he will make the kingdom better once he's in charge and passes his social studies class or something. And we get a not forced at all class discussion.
Do you think it makes a difference for people like me? Who sits on the throne?
It should.
Also, the kid kind of sounds like Warwick Davis and Willow for some reason.
Totally, right?
Yeah, I didn't notice it, but R.I.P. Warwick Davis.
What?
He's not dead, but Disney sure wishes he was, based on how they treated that Willow show that they struck from existence.
All right. I was like, wait, breaking news? What?
Yeah. No.
Maybe by the time this comes out.
No, that guy's great. I wish they hadn't treated him like garbage.
Yeah.
And everybody involved in that show.
Yeah. I don't know if you've watched that Life's Too Short series that Ricky Gervais and Steve Merchant put out, but holy shit. Amazing.
Yeah.
He's so good in that.
He crushes it. Yeah.
They make camp and we're treated to a time lapse of the sun going down, complete with a satellite flying over 12th century China or wherever the hell it's supposed to be. Jacob gets Chinese eyes of his own while getting baked on opium. And after he nods out, Leanne steals the drugs and tosses them in the fire, which makes Jacob recreate that scene in Revenge of the Sith where he chops up a bunch of younglings to pieces.
That would be awesome. He just gets up and hacks them all to death. My drugs!
He screams about his shit burning and tries desperately to pull it out of the fire with his bare hands and then cries like a little bitch-ass wiener that he is. Then he screams, I hate you! Since he burnt himself like he did on that shore of the lava river on Mustafar. He mopes for a bit while Leanne says the future of their kingdom depends upon the only white guy in the entire continent. She asks him why he left his home by saying, are you running or searching? And he says both before asking if she believes in hell. And she says only a Sith deals in absolutes. Anyway, she explains a whole bunch of Far Eastern mythology about hell while we all collectively trip with Jacob on opium. God, if only. And he says he's done all sorts of shit that will land him in hell, like forcing people to watch the movie Outcast. Chinese have a lot of hells, as anybody who's seen Big Trouble in Little China know. Thanks to Eddie. To the hell where people are skinned alive is a symbol, do you understand? Mulan has her Oscar moment while explaining it's hard for a woman in a world truly ruled by men.
Do you know what it's like being a woman in this world? You think watching men destroy everything you care about bears no weight? And for what? Pride? Greed?
Seriously, is Nicolas Cage even in this fucking movie? Next, we watch Shing talk to his dad's corpse for a bit. Why not? He explains that he did his duty as a soldier and shouldn't lose out on being a king or whatever because killing people made him a bad person. While this is going on, that guard guy Chang cucks it from the corner like the little perv that he is. Darth Disappointment wakes up to Zhao pissing on him. Telling him he wants to learn how to shoot arrows like he does, and Jacob just kind of walks off to wash his balls in a creek. Zhao says, I thought white devils didn't bathe. And he's like, no, you're thinking of that. Sorry, we'll stay away from the overt racism because the movie does a good enough job on its own. Zhao says he wants to be a great warrior like Jacob, and Leanne sees water streaming down Jacob's sexy abs even though she's behind them and is like, what's happening in my pants right now, some consider to be unnatural. Zhao continues to beg him to teach him, and eventually Jacob relents. And we add a little backstory of Ghislaine. Oh yeah, Nick Cage is in this. Training young Jacob how to shoot arrows. Also, for some reason, Jacob's shirtless since Ghislaine or Galactus or whatever his name is wasn't about to train this kid with a little something in return. That's how 300 does
shirt
it.
Off.
They have the naked kids in the snow.
Yeah. Why don't you pop that shirt off? Make it easier for you to fire the arrows right at me. Just
and you can tell it's Jacob because he has the same hairstyle.
Me with it.
We watch a montage of Ghislaine training Jacob to fire arrows, not their other training. And Jacob teaching Zhao the same way he learned, complete with him almost getting hit by the kid's arrow, all while Leanne watches on, falling for this handsome little junkie. Feels like first time the kid's picked up a bow is not the right time to stand directly next to the target and make sure he hits the target properly. I mean, I get what they're trying to show. It's like, you better hit it or you'll hit me, but that's a lot of trust to put in that little, what, 12-year-old, whatever I always said is 14.
Yeah,
something.
14, I think
14 or something, yeah.
I thought that, maybe the moment with Ghislaine was like after training for months, but
yeah,
like the 5 minutes test. Into this kid's training.
He's just like, hit it, I'm right here. That night on a moonlight walk, Jacob says they should head to the Silver Mountains since the Black Guards are unlikely to go there since it's crawling with bandits, including the White Ghost. I wonder who they got to play the White Ghost. They spot some ring wraiths in the forest, and Zhao and Jacob have a flirty little moment where he gropes her when she falls getting on her horse. The next morning, they find themselves in the middle of the Sahara Desert for some goddamn reason.
Yeah, what the fuck was with that?
I think it's supposed to be the Gobi Desert, but it's also the Silk Road, so
That doesn't
they went from China they're heading into the Middle East again.
They go from the mountains to the desert, back to the mountains. It's just really confusing and unnecessary for them to add that little area. I guess they were like, whoa, we have this environment, which was all shot in that same province in China.
So the desert's there.
This exists next to those mountains, but probably not right next to the mountains like they show in the movies.
Yeah. So, they spot a caravan full of Middle Eastern people, which we know they're from the Middle East because, again, the music suddenly changes to the flute that guys use to charm snakes in cartoons.
We all know it.
Jacob uses the gold Zhao gave him to pay their way into joining the caravan, and Leanne is like, there's good in him. I know there is. I love how in these movies they don't even count the gold. They just check to see what kind of coins they are. Or they don't even check to see what kind of coins they are. They just go by weight, I suppose. No one ever ripped anybody off back then.
Just a baggy, nondescript currency.
Well, I guess we know why she lets them in or join the caravan, so it's not like she really cares. But well, they sneak into the town of Juggalo or Jingshao or whatever with the caravan, thanks to them bribing a guard. And the prince doesn't even cover his face at all, even though the guard explicitly says they're searching for him. Everybody else has at least try to put face wrappings on to potentially pass for part of this caravan.
Yeah, why is Jacob covering his face? Nobody knows who the fuck he is.
I guess because he's a white guy, so if they're looking for a white guy escorting the prince and princess.
Yeah, but the prince is out there in broad daylight, uncovered. So it doesn't make
He's
probably on the coins that they gave him. There's a fucking stamp of his face.
The leader of the caravan says Jacob, Mulan, and the kid should stay with them to get rest, and they agree, but of course this is all a ruse, and they're betrayed 5 seconds later. The leader of the caravan, we'll call her Middle Eastern woman number 4, offers Jacob some opium, and Jacob is like, don't mind if I do. He gets cracked out, and we see that Leanne's disappointed in the brooding dope fiend and pouts about it to Zhao. Downstairs, Jacob realizes he's been drugged, and not in the way he was hoping for, and he passes out. Some time passes and the black guards arrive in town. Jacob wakes up to find his hands bound and spots the black guards outside. He beats up the one inept guard watching them and screams for the prince and princess. Middle Eastern woman number 4 explains that the prince and princesses are worth more money than she's ever seen, and Jacob punches her in the face like Nicolas Cage in a bear costume.
Your share alone!
What's wrong, sister?
I mean, he had a lot of practice killing Middle Eastern women, so she got off easy.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like
just chopped her head off and
took her right back in the days, glory days.
Back when I killed all those kids in that harem. I mean, their mothers killed the kids.
Jacob rounds up his motley crew and instructs them to find a boat and wait for him near the Silver Mountains, where we'll meet up with them later. Or he'll meet him up, whatever. Leanne, Zhao, and whatever the hell that kid's name is, take the boat from a harbor of the desert town that somehow leads to lush green mountains in the distance. And rather than just go with them, Jacob confronts the army of soldiers by himself, which makes sense since I once saw this guy take on an entire droid army by himself. Jacob somehow takes out 2 guys at a time with barely any effort, but eventually the head guard puts a sword to Jacob's chest, tells him to tell him where the prince and princess went. Jacob stays quiet, so the guard just plays just a tip with the blade into Jacob's breastbone. A guard says the kids have been spotted on the river, and since they underestimated his power, Jacob is able to push 6 guys off of him, grab a sword, and take out another half dozen nameless, faceless guys, no sweat. Then he kills the main guard guy who give him a chestussy. Jacob sets some of the dudes on fire, jumps off a building onto the road, and finally grabs one of the many boats just sitting there for taking in the harbor. Over in the river Anduin in Middle-earth, for some reason, the prince and princess try desperately to row away from 3 boats full of blackguards, and Jacob joins the chase. Not sure why he didn't just go with them in the first place, but who cares, because the movie's almost over.
Yeah!
Act 3. time to resolve some shit.
Leanne and Chow, whatever the fuck his name is, and the other one run to the forest while being shot at by archers. And again, the cameraman does their very best to make us all sick as a dog. In the forest, the blackguards are suddenly struck by arrows, and some bandits jump out of the shadows while we hear the sound the predator makes for some reason. The blackguards are picked off one by bandits who are indistinguishable from the blackguards, which is confusing as all hell. And eventually the bandits surround Leanne, Zhao, and what's-her-face. We cut to Jacob on the water where either the opium is kicking in or that I don't know how wound is getting infected because we see him get all woozy and pass out. Just disgusting. He wakes up to a sexy nurse tending to his wounds and a weirdo with a bad haircut and snakes for hands watching him like the crocodile from the shadows. They put a stick in his mouth and get to work on They put a stick in his mouth and get to work on that slit in his chest by sewing it up. By sewing it up, I mean. Ooh. Sorry, I let my intrusive thoughts win there for a second. And Jacob passes out again. I'm guessing that pub crawl really paid out.
Yeah, here. Exactly. There's no way that's a real fact, but it makes me laugh that somebody wrote it into the fucking trivia. He got drunk in Glasgow because
no one watched the movie. Yeah, exactly. Reading trivia about Outcast in 2025.
Only us. We're the only ones.
Jacob wakes up in pain, and suddenly 60 minutes into this goddamn pile of shit, Nick Cage graces us with his presence by somehow doing a worse British accent than in the opening of the film. Giletto asks if his wounds hurt, then says, "Good. If it was my choice, I'd have let you rot."
Sounds pretty good. Sounds just like
it's pretty much, yeah.
We were spoiled by Hayden Christensen's accent.
Yeah, exactly.
Jacob asks about his companion since he doesn't seem to recognize his old chum since he didn't look like Gene Simmons with an eye infection from the copious amounts of eyeliner back when they were friends. Gillian says the blackguards are thick as flies on a farting goat's ass because of you. And asks, "How do you find me, lad?" Which is actually a really good fucking question. Only two white guys on the fucking continent probably helped. I don't know. I'm no Sherlock Holmes, but
it reminded me of that joke from Firebirds about the three-peckered goat. Farting goat's ass. I don't know.
Probably what he was trying to copy. I don't know.
Nobody watched Firebirds. There's no way.
True. Then Giselle waves his snakes over Jacob's crotch for some reason. And Jacob alludes
Ghislaine from Ghislaine Maxwell.
And Jacob alludes that he's been looking for Gillian this whole time, and I guess figured out pretty quick that he was the white ghost since there aren't any other white guys east of Baghdad. Jacob says they need to talk, and Squinty McGee says they have nothing to discuss, and that I should have left you in the woods for crow meat. Just a little subtle shout out to his boy Hoogan. Gallian tells Jacob as soon as he can move, he needs to leave. Snakes around his hands the entire scene for no fucking discernible reason. It's just like
Ghislaine. His name is Ghislaine.
I know, but who cares?
Lane.
Yeah, he says it 3 times, I think, in the entire movie. The
very beginning
and twice at the end.
You guys told me that he had.
I didn't either until I read it in the.
I only know from the subtitles,
and I didn't give a fuck enough to go look up IMDb to see what his actual character. And I didn't even know what Jacob's name was. That's how little I care about following.
You didn't get it from when he says, "Jacob, my name's Jacob." Later on to Leanne.
No, I tuned it all out.
They don't say it much, but the subtitles mention it a lot. Like,
do they?
Jacob does this or whatever. Like, so that's how I knew.
Jacob acts badly.
Ghislaine tells the prince and princess that Jacob is alive for now. And Zhao says, or Zhao, whatever, you're the outlaw they call the White Ghost. And he says,
I am the White Ghost, but no one calls me outlaw, child. Not to my face.
Zhao tells Ghislaine that his friend sent them there, and One Eye says, my friend, you expect that to count in your favor?
He acts completely different, like a completely different character from the character he was supposed to be in the beginning of the movie. Just a completely different guy. Different accent, different haircut, different way of, like, all those mannerisms are different. Everything is different about him.
He tells them their lives have value, since Schwing will pay handsomely for their return. Zhao says Schwing might just kill him, and that if they escape, he'll be king, to which Cage laughs in his face like he just took a hit off his lucky crack pipe.
He landed again, he ran. He scored a touchdown.
That's the crack talker.
Galaga. Gallagher smashes up. No, I'm just joking. Gallagher says he needs time to think about Zhao's offer of allowing the White Ghost to be a free man if he's named king, and he rubs a snake on his face to scratch an itch or something.
Did you guys know that reptiles have salmonella all over their skin?
Yeah. Super hygienic.
Maybe he got pink eye or something. That's how he lost his eye.
That's how his eye got infected?
Yeah, he rubbed snakes on it.
Ghislaine says they're lucky his wife likes them and has his live-in cave troll free them since they have nowhere to run.
You guys notice that guy?
Yeah.
One dude is like 5 times the size of anybody else. They have a cave troll.
Sloth.
They have a cave troll.
The next day, Ghislaine stands outside wearing a goofy hat. Seriously, it's bad. And explains to Leanne that he and Jacob fought alongside each other. And she says he thinks he's damned to hell, which Ghislaine says he's right. We were all killers, but he became something worse.
Bad actor.
A Sith. A bad actor. Leanne basically calls Guillaume a selfish asshole and says Jacob has changed while Squinty chugs wine from a canvas canteen, which he does nonstop for like the next 15 minutes, it feels like. We cut to Schwing training against 4 guys while he's shirtless for some reason. God damn, those abs must have been his entire audition tape.
Just a close-up of his abs.
This
like
is me. Scene in Step Brothers.
You can do kung fu. That's all you need to be a Chinese actor, I guess. Even in a movie made in China.
Yeah.
He kicks all their asses because of course he does. And the cut guard says they have located the prince and princess in the Silver Mountains.
While Shang Tsung watches on, it says flawless victory.
So he decides to head there himself to finish things once and for all. If only tyrannical leaders actually ever put themselves in harm's way instead of sending others to die. Leanne sees Jacob writhing in pain on the floor from opium withdrawals or the infection. Like, who really cares at this point? And he mumbles out,
Jacob. My name is Jacob.
He apologizes for being an insufferable dickwad all this time. And she says they're all alive because of him.
It's okay because you're hot.
Exactly.
Same thing Padme said.
It's okay that you killed those children. They were animals anyway, you know?
They were sand people. They don't count as people. He asks for her help to get up so that he can speak to Gom. She's all lovey-dovey with him as he helps him up. In a cave full of guys eating pork and beans, Ghislaine chugs more wine and his wife gives him a look since, as we soon find out, she can't talk. And he says, "What, woman? Don't you ever stop?" She leaves him and gets everyone to leave the cave so Gillian and Jacob can have a heart-to-heart and to air out all the bean farts. Stinky
It really
cave.
does look like they're eating pork and beans. Right? I don't know why that made me laugh so much. It's like they're just sitting around eating pork and beans.
They're just eating slop.
That scene in Blazing Saddles where they're all farting around the fire.
Gilligan picks up some opium and throws it at Jacob while saying,
You fucking opium. Keeps the ghosts at bay, huh? This is my medicine.
Jacob tries to tell Ghislaine that he didn't kill a room full of women and children in the harem we saw at the beginning of the movie, but he says it really weird, like, I didn't just kill the men or the women and children. I didn't think they were animals and slaughter them like animals. But he does call them sand people, which I thought was kind of way over the line. Super racist.
Stay away from that.
Gillian says, riddles give me headaches, while bashing the side of his own head with his fingertips. And we cut to a room full of dead kids. Gillian looking at his old friend standing over the bodies, horrified. Jacob says the children were killed by their own mothers and the women by their own hands. Ghislaine seems to realize Jacob is telling the truth and asks, you think if you save this boy, God will forgive you? While blinking with his closed eye.
It's so weird. It's so distracting and off-putting.
Yeah, it is.
Let's put an eye patch on. God.
Just put an eye patch on, dude. There's one point where you can see his eye open.
Yeah, you can.
And
I was watching for it the whole time because he's just like, he's not going to keep that up.
No, he doesn't. He gives up at one point. Anyway,
imagine just having to do this for days on end while you're shooting scenes.
Yeah, I just put an eye patch on. Jacob says men cannot know God's will, and when they pretend to, it ends in blood. And Gal Gadot says, that I'll drink too.
Like that line.
Yeah.
Not like a line
like the
from a better
one
movie.
well-written line in this film.
Jacob asks how Gillian ended up looking like a one-eyed character from a Kurosaka movie, and Gillian drunkenly says
Kurosaka.
It's no K.
Kurosawa.
Yeah.
Jacob asks how Ghislaine ended up looking like a one-eyed character from a Kurosawa. Oh my god. Kurosawa. Why can I not
So
say
it's
that?
not just
Kurosawa.
Russian, it's Japanese as well.
It's designed to be pronounceable in English. They wrote it so you can say it exactly how it sounds.
Yeah.
Kurosawa.
Kurosawa.
Sow. Like a pig? Jacob asked Gillian how he ended up looking like a one-eyed character from a Kurosawa movie, and Ghislaine drunkenly says, I tried my hand as a merchant, but the blackguards took all I had. Then he giggles to himself and says, my wife is good with a knife, eh, lad? But at one time she had the most beautiful singing voice, but the guards cut out her tongue and blinded my right eye. But I still have her, which is all that really matters. Aw, he's so romantic.
It's the one like humanizing thing in this is like, he's escaped this horrible crusades murder rampage to the east, and he found somebody he loves, and then her tongue was cut out by the fucking blackguards, so he became the White Wolf.
Yeah.
Robin Hood of Asia.
The White Ghost.
White Ghost, yeah. White Ghost of the Far East.
The Far East of the Silver Mountains.
The White Savior.
The White Savior of the Far East.
Jacob says if generic bad guy becomes king, the land will burn. And Ghislaine says,
All lands burn, Jacob. You know that better than anyone. I have to take a piss.
Ghislaine drunkenly stumbles out of the cave and pisses right on Chow's face, which was a nice callback to the first act.
Fuck you, kid, you're a dick.
Night falls and Leanne spots Jacob praying by a fire or edging while doing some Kegel exercises. I'm not sure. By the way, it's kind of hot. He tells her she should be resting, and she says, I'm younger and healthier than you, which is kind of a shitty thing to say to someone, but whatever.
I don't need to rest, old man. What are you, 30?
Fucking old piece of shit. Drugged out loser.
I guess that was kind of old back then.
I'm healthier than you.
It's all that mercury that we take for medicinal purposes.
She tells him she swore to her father that she'd protect Zhao with her life and asks why Jacob is helping them since he's probably going to end up dead. He says he looked for God in all the wrong places, but after meeting her and her brother, it started to make sense again. Wait, what made sense? God? And Leanne is smitten with his bloodthirsty milk of the poppy eating white boy. Or with this bloodthirsty milk of the poppy eating white boy.
It's so weird that he eats the opium. I don't know.
Yes, yeah. I don't remember ever learning that people ate it.
Maybe they couldn't show smoking it on screen in Chinese audiences because they have a lot of censorship. So maybe,
but maybe people did chew it. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not a drug historian.
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. Also, throwing it in the fire would have been like the worst thing you could do because
that would have been awesome. You just
get everybody high. Apparently, you can eat opium.
Oh, so. Okay, there you go.
You can smoke it or eat it.
She gives him a big kiss, which makes him come in his pants and fart. No. Sorry, it's all sorts of romantical, and he at last has something worth dying for besides opium. Glenn and Jacob have a chat on a wagon the next morning. Well, Glenn, you'll never guess, drinks himself into a stupor. I wonder if that wagon's his pass out chair. They talk about the ghost of their past and what is owed must be paid. And Glenn says it's not up to us to decide when to pay, I guess. I don't know. He offers Jacob
when the
a
debt
drink.
must be paid. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess it's not up to him when the debt is owed or whatever. He offers Jacob a drink from the canteen he's been slobbering all over and says, "To the damned, each and every one of us." Jacob asks for Galan's help, and he says he's done fighting over other men's causes. Jacob says Glenn could have just handed over the prince. Glenn says, "I'm a simple man, easily bedazzled by swift-talking young princes." Which is exactly what I told my wife when she discovered my Grindr account. It's not my fault. These guys just have this power over me. I'm a sucker for an otter.
Swift little princesses and their bedazzling talk.
The blackguards arrive at the mountains and start climbing up. Jacob screams down to them, "It's over, swing! I have the high ground." But they just keep coming. The White Ghost crew start preparing for battle, and he says he chose this spot in the mountains strategically so they can kill guys below and fall back to the caves, which works out great for them. Zhao grabs some arrows, and Jacob tells him he needs to stay there since if he dies, he'll never lead his people, but Zhao is a little bitch about it. Are we sure this kid isn't going to grow up just like his brother and be a dick too?
Kind of has some of those traits.
Gilliam and his crew meet the blackguards on the mountain and light fires to create confusion. The White Wolves posse take a bunch of dudes out with arrows and they fall back down the mountain while bombs go off as they run, just like the Boston Marathon.
God. Are we sure that they didn't light these fires to cover up the smog that they were having to shoot?
Oh yeah,
they were filming.
I would have guessed that was a production's way of trying to explain all the
why it's so smoky in the canyon.
Smoke and whatnot.
Out the Silver Mountains. What a hellscape.
Next, Glenn and crew chuck spears at the blackguards, but sadly they take out the cave troll. Sad.
That's one of the more sad deaths in the movie.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
The only time I felt sad or bad for any of the characters. The fight goes hand to hand or hand to sword, and we see that child disobeyed Jacob and has joined in on the fight. They fall back to the cave, and Jacob orders Zhao to take his sister and hide. Zhao says he should fight, and Jacob says, "You've got nothing more to prove. Men have died for you. Don't let it be in vain." Which actually, again, one of the few lines that makes sense, and B is actually powerful statements. It's true.
Yeah, there's like 5. The whole movie.
Glenn and his men spring some sort of Kevin McAllister trap that kills a handful of guards as they enter the cave. Then things get really hard to follow again as the cameraman has a seizure. All I know is that Ghislaine's wife blows a guy up and accidentally kills herself in the process, which didn't really make sense to me because it's just like she has a bunch of cuts on her face and that kills her.
She was like going to try and save him, and she ended up getting killed in the process, which again speaks to the love story that was cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
But it still works. I don't know. So like one of the few things that worked, in my opinion.
Some humanity in this story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Glenn is devastated, and Nick finally decides to act for the first time in the movie, crying over his dead wife. Then he goes,
Go. Get the boy. Now.
To Jacob, and Glenn heads out to take on the entire army, just like that scene in The Last Jedi. Sorry, wrong horrible trilogy. Glenn takes a couple guys out with a spear, picks up a sword and says, "You want my blood? You want my blood?" And splatters his own blood everywhere.
You want my blood? You want my blood?
Squinty takes out a couple guys, and we cut to Jacob gathering the prince, princess, and that other character that has contributed nothing to this film besides a class warfare discussion and a joke about how much she eats.
I wonder how much of this movie was like how much character development was just lost because of the cut.
Yeah.
And the meddling of the producers on the whole film. I feel like so many of the movies that we've done on this show come down to producers who don't know how to make a film, recutting the film after the fact.
Yep.
Yeah.
Though I don't think this was ever going to be a good movie.
No.
At any point.
No. I mean, they were writing the script as they shot.
Yeah. Well, rewriting
it.
I feel like they had a plan and then they showed up and the producer was like, "No, I'm rewriting the whole opening of the movie."
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyways, top-notch Gene Simmons comes out of the cave with his bloody sword and charges at like 1,000 black guards, including Schwing and that cut guard, Qui-Gon. Gilliam takes out like a dozen dudes, but slowly gets sliced up enough to slow him down and impaled with a spear, but he keeps on fighting like the legendary White Knight that he is. Get it, White Knight? Eventually he goes down on another man. Eventually he goes down after we see him stabbed like 20 more times. And at Schwing's feet, he reaches for Schwing's sword and is stabbed by a couple more spears while Schwing just kind of watches, nodding his head. Schwing kicks Gilliam to the ground, and the only reason we're watching this dumpster fire dies after saying, "I see you, woman. I see you." Glad his last moment was sexist at least. Rather than leaving like Gillian had asked, Jacob and the gang just march outside to meet their deaths. Schwing calls Jacob the white monkey, which feels super racist somehow, even though I know he's not. Or it's not.
White monkey. Ooh, I don't know why that feels so bad, but
yeah, it felt weird.
It does.
He reveals Glenn's dead body on the floor, and they're all sad about losing the only interesting character. I wonder if he had the snakes on his hands, if it would have changed anything, because they could have been like biting as he's swiping.
Like a Mortal Kombat character or something.
Yeah, or like Venom. Just the good Venom, not the bad Venoms that we had to watch. Sorry, Tom Hardy. Schwing asks why Jacob helped the prince and princess, and he says it's because the boy isn't like us. Schwing asks, "What are we? And what are we?" To which Jacob says, "Terrible actors." Nah, I'm just kidding. That kid is a terrible actor too. They're all bad. The kid had like no emotions, but I'll save that for my review.
Yeah.
No, Jacob says the world would be better without us. Chow says their father would hate what Schwing has become. Schwing says, then it's probably a good thing that you killed him.
I made the joke of Schwing a couple times, but you just went with it for every time you mention his name.
Yeah, because it's all I hear when I see the name. It's just swing. And I think it makes his character more interesting.
Same hair. He's got like Wayne's hair.
Chow tries to stab his brother with an arrow, but Schwing 300s his ass to the ground. This is the Far East.
Vaguely somewhere. Not China, but
not
close
China.
to China. The Silk Road. We're on the Silk Road.
Don't say China.
Don't say China.
Jacob walks towards Schwing and his guards all put blades to his throat. Generic bad guy says, "You spilt a lot of blood today. Let's see how much you have left," and challenges Jacob to a duel. Schwing takes out 2 swords, which say his name as they're unsheathed because it's Schwing. Get it? See? White Monkey Savior. Oh, goddamn it. Sorry, White Savior Monkey and Forgettable Bad Guy go round and round with Jacob getting sliced and diced for a while, but eventually Jacob starts to get the upper hand. So Schwing's bodyguard shoots him with a couple arrows. Finally, the cut guard, who has been set up the entire fucking movie solely for this moment, takes out his sword and says, "The next man who raises his bow dies."
I wouldn't find him intimidating. I don't know why.
But he's the captain of the guard, I guess. So
yeah.
Don't know why Shing kept him around.
Yeah,
just in case he wanted to rape a woman, like his wife, just in case. And I think he had the loyalty of the guard, and that's why they all just stop at this moment instead of helping the king.
Yeah,
because they don't know that the kid didn't actually murder. The king.
True. Schwing goes in for the kill, but Leanne takes a knife their mother gave Schwing that he used to kill his father. Stay with me here. From between his butt cheeks or wherever it was, and threatens him with it. She goes to stab him, and Schwing instead stabs her. This makes Jacob lose it like a junkie fiending for opium, and he grabs a knife, slices Schwing a couple times with it, and eventually stabs Schwing in the stomach with his sword, his real sword, not the way that Patrick stabs. Never mind, we're not going to go. While all his men watch, Schwing dies, and all his sycophants just take a knee and praise the next oldest member of the family. Jacob drops to the ground next to Leanne, and she and Jacob hold hands. Jacob asks, "What were you thinking?" And she says, "Of my country, of the republic, of democracy." Chang apologizes for not stopping all of this back when Schwing stabbed the king in the stomach and calls Chow "Your Majesty." Then Chow calls him "cuck boy" and chops off his head. He and all the men take a knee, and we cut to sometime in the future where we see Jacob praying over Glaine's grave. Chow brings the royal seal to the general, who is somehow crucial to naming him king for some reason, and Jacob saunters off from the group to star in a sequel that thankfully never happened. The end.
Yeah, I did read that they were planning a sequel.
God.
Whew.
Thank
God that didn't happen.
Fucking money.